All right. Hello. I'm back. I thought I would just talk a little bit on here again. I've been having some thoughts about random things, and as always, who better to talk with than the internet? But I had looked back on like a couple videos that I had made. I mean, I haven't made that many videos on here, but I noticed that, well, my first video ever was about gratitude. I think it was something along the lines of like gratitude equals success. And then the year after that, I made another video about gratitude, and it's really interesting. Well, so point being, I thought the year after, right now, I'd make another video about gratitude, but it was really interesting to me because like the first video ever, I was in like a specific circumstance, specific situation, and then in the second video I was in like a completely different situation. Like I had moved, I was in an apartment. I remember with the first video, I was trying to be grateful for my circumstances because I didn't think I would be able to escape my circumstances, or escape is a harsh word, but I just didn't think that I would be able to move out of them. So I was kind of trying to talk from a place of like doing the best with what you have. I don't know if it necessarily came across that way, but then I remember in the second video, I was in a completely different situation. I was in an apartment that I really, really did not like. I wasn't very comfortable in. And I remember this one night, I was up very late and I was thinking about kind of different people in my life who I felt like just had it so much easier and had it so much better than I did. And then I kind of remember being hit with like this understanding and this realization of like, I have a roof over my head, I'm supporting myself. I remember a really big thing for me was becoming financially independent, and that was something I kind of talked about in the video, that I was like so grateful for that opportunity because other people, that I was maybe thinking of who had it easier, you could say, or just had a different circumstance of their own, were not financially independent. So like there were certain aspects that I was like, wow, I am so grateful, like I've had, these specific things happen in my life to now get to this point, because it's something I can be proud of. And now I'm at a completely different place, which is so crazy to me that, like, within 2 years, I have moved 3 times, and I have, like, if somebody could have told me 2 years ago to this day, of this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, and then this is gonna happen, I would not be okay. I would think, I would probably be devastated because where I'm at right now, I I think I would have fallen apart if I would have known that that's gonna all happen, like the breakup and my pet passing away and a lot of family changes, and James and, oh shoot, just name dropped, but my ex boyfriend and I, that's funny, moving in together and then breaking up and then, moving out alone. I think, yeah, it's just crazy to me. But, anyways, so I wanted to talk about gratitude and just, I feel like I have had so many moments throughout kind of this whole process of growing and healing and moving on, of gratitude for where I'm at. And it was almost so crazy to me. I remember it was, so my ex-partner and I, we broke up and we lived together still for a few weeks, 3 to 4 weeks after the fact, just finding a new place to live, or like I was finding a new place to live, packing, just settling things. We also just, our lease wasn't ending for that amount of time. So anyway, it almost didn't feel like we officially broke up until I officially moved into this apartment. And so that was kind of a challenging time. And I just remember throughout that kind of first month of living here that I couldn't even believe that I was like having these thoughts of gratitude. It was so, it made no sense to me. But I feel like that was like, and I'm grateful for this even, but I feel like it was pretty quick that I started to understand that my circumstances were actually um, just something that I could be so grateful for. And I mean, there's a lot that's kind of like wrapped up into the why of that, and some of it is personal and some of it is just more objective, I guess, of just being in a hard place. But I feel like a really big thing for me that I came to realize, like the growth that I've been having and will continue to have. I mean, not only will that be so satisfying for my future self, for just my future in general, but it is something I never ever would have been able to even understand or obviously experience if all of these different things wouldn't have happened to me. And I think that's like a great way to look at it of it's something that's so hard and so challenging, but I know that I am so much better off due to it, and I just have so much gratitude like within kind of that reasoning. Um and yeah, and I do think it's a hard place. It's like a lot of it I think has to do with acceptance. I think acceptance and gratitude are very interconnected. Um, I don't think you can have one without having the other, kind of. But I think I even before I had a lot of acceptance for the situation, I think I had this deep level of gratitude, and I think it's just grown a lot deeper because I've gained a lot more acceptance over the course of the last few months. But I think one thing that has really gotten me through is the mantra of what is meant for me will not pass me by. I think I have found so much peace in this understanding. And a lot of this for me does have to do with like having a faith in God and, believing in a divine creator. I do believe my future is planned out for me. I believe that I am, like held by God, and that's a very like beautiful thing spiritually to be able to kind of lean upon in a hard time. And I do understand that like not everybody comes from that same perspective or has that same approach. So I don't quite know how to approach it from a different perspective, I suppose, but personally that's something that has been just so helpful for me. And I think that was something that even in the very very early stages of all of these kind of turbulent things happening, I would genuinely wake up every single day and tell myself what is meant for me will not pass me by. And I also just have this understanding in the aspect, or like like this understanding in the idea that like I am not going to be healed right now, and I'm not going to feel in some great place. However, if I can have this wisdom and I can like have that worth within myself to understand that I need to put this effort into my life and into who I am right now, because I know that good things are meant for me and good things are coming, I know I will gradually feel more and more healed, and this will create like, I don't know, like a development of like a better train of thought almost. I don't know. I don't know quite how to explain it. But anyways, it's just something that really, really, really has stuck with me. It's it's a great thing to think of. And yeah, and I think that can kind of tie into gratitude and just, I don't know, just kind of that understanding, I guess. But yeah, so that's been a really helpful thing for me. And I also have been thinking recently about kind of the concept of like, if you love something, let it go. And I don't think I actually really understand this. Like, I do to a certain degree, obviously, but I think from the perspective maybe I used to look at it was like, oh, I used to like love the relationship that I was in, so I'm gonna let it go And like, if it comes back to me, it comes back to me, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's like, if you love something, let it go. And I think it's a lot deeper than that, and I don't know. I don't quite get it. Like, I don't. Because that was something that somebody said to me, like, I don't know, a while ago. Probably a month ago or so. But I just don't, I don't know. I don't quite understand it, but I think because I'm thinking about, like, maybe I'm thinking of, like, my past relationship, and I'm considering, like, if you love something, let it go. And it's like, well, I don't know if I love that anymore. Like, I don't know if I have that love for it where I can sit there and say that in that way. I'm not sure. Anyways, I don't quite know why I brought that up then if I, like, don't have anything to say about it. But maybe if somebody has something to say about it, like, let me know, I guess. But I also wanted to talk about, like, finding happiness, and just kind of the idea that, like, searching for happiness does not bring happiness. And a philosopher said, the search for happiness is one of the chief sources of unhappiness. And then a different philosopher said, there are two sources of unhappiness in life. One is not getting what you want, and the other is getting it. And I just, like, was pondering on that so much today, and just thinking about that. And I just remember reading Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And he says something along the lines of, like, if a woman has to wake up every day and say to herself, like, look in the mirror and say to herself, you're beautiful, like, to herself, she probably is less secure than a person who wakes up every day and doesn't say that to themselves. And I just found that so interesting, because it feels really backwards sometimes, of, like, trying to understand, how do I become happy, how do I become secure, like, this or that. And I think it's a hard thing to kind of understand and grapple with. And I think at the end of the day, it's just the fact that, like, there's such deeper meaning to everything, and you can't just wake up every day and tell yourself, I'm gonna be happy. Like, you can't do that and expect for like, yourself to just become happy. And I think it's the point of intention, and of just, like, living very intentionally. And I think also just, like, finding fulfillment in deeper things, and, like, in deeper, like, concepts. And I think that can lead, or, like, that can be sourced kind of through spirituality. But I do also think people who are not spiritual or don't have faith can be very satisfied. And I think that, personally, my thought on this is that it comes from connections and from relationships. And I think it's kind of innate within us. Like, that's why I feel like majority of people feel that they want to have children, or they want to have a partner, or obviously, like, friendships. That's why it's challenging when you have a breakup with a person, or, you know, like, you want these connections with people. But I think that the biggest thing that is missing in today's society is, like, people not having relationships for selfish reasons and for selfish gain. And I think that we live in such a selfish culture that that's a really challenging thing for people, I suppose. I think that a lot of people go into conversations or situations or whatever it might be with this sort of, like, subconscious thought process of, like, how is this going to benefit me? And I think that if that is sort of, like, the way that your brain processes things, you will never be fulfilled, because you're just always going to be, like, having expectations, and, you know, thinking about the wrong things at the end of the day. And then I also think kind of that concept of, like, a person just trying to find happiness, pursuing happiness. I think that a big thing too for people is that they find a lot of, like, selfish reasons as to, like, what will make them happy. And a lot of the time it might have to do with money, or a job, or relationship status, or anything or the other. But it always has to do, like, kind of with them. And I don't know. And I think that everyone's imperfect, and I don't think anybody is going to sit there and through everything be like, oh, I do everything from a selfless perspective. I don't think that that's very realistic. But I do think that in regards to just like being fulfilled, I think just so many people are so unfulfilled. And I think a lot of people are on this kind of quest to find fulfillment and to find satisfaction and happiness in life. And I think that a lot of the times too, the issue might be that it's like always trying to reach this next thing, like always having this bar. And and I think that there's beauty in, like, I don't want to say, I do think there's beauty in suffering, but I don't think that applies to everyone in every situation. So I just want to preface that. But like, I think that's something that can kind of just tie back to like the concept of gratitude, and maybe like gratitude specifically in suffering, because at the end of the day, I think it allows for this like beautiful, sometimes I guess, allows for this beautiful understanding of what life truly kind of means. And anyways, I don't know, like, reaching fulfillment and reaching a place of contentment is so challenging, and I don't think it's easy, but I'm grateful I'm getting there. And I also did something very, very cool the other day, so I'm gonna show you guys. Just one sec. Okay, this is the cool thing. I ended up getting a bird. I wanted a bird for a really long time. I used to have a parakeet when I was a kid, and I really wanted a bird when, like, for the past year basically, so I ended up doing it. But this is him. He's a very cool guy. I'm still technically considering names, but I'm pretty sure I've settled on Norman, and there's a lot of reasoning behind it, but I'm a very big Lana Del Rey fan, and so she does have her album, Norman fucking Rockwell, but it's also going into Halloween season, and I'm a big fan of Alfred Hitchcock. I'm not a big fan of him personally, but I'm a big fan of his work. And obviously in Psycho, there's Norman Bates. Norman Bates also does have a slight obsession with birds, and yes, they are all dead and stuffed, and I don't think that that's a bad omen. I should have covered his ears for that. And then there's also just Norman Rockwell, the artist, and he's a great artist, and coincidentally enough too, in my apartment complex, in the laundry room, there's a calendar of Norman Rockwell's work. So I also think that that's very fitting. And yeah, he's just a very cool guy. Very grateful for him, ending on that concept of gratitude. He's a super cool guy, and I really like him. And I was kind of pondering over names, and I was considering naming him Louie, because as random as it is, my pet that passed away, her name was Nala, but I used to call her Louie, and so I've kind of randomly called him that, just almost out of instinct, because he kind of reminds me of my pet that passed away. They have sort of a similar personality, but anyways, so that's something I'm grateful for. And yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.